Hello children, good morning. Today we will do the revision of chapter 4 in the history and the name of the chapter is The Creation of an Empire. First we will learn about who were Mughals. The Mughals were the descendants of two great lineages. From their mother side, they were the descendant of Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan ruled over Mongol tribes, China and Central Asia. From their father side, they were the descendant of Timur. Timur ruled over Iran, Iraq, and modern day Turkey. Here is the list of some Mughal rulers who ruled over Indian subcontinents. The first came Babur. He ruled from the year of 1526 to 1530. After that, Humayun came. He ruled from the year of 1530 to 1540 and 1555 to 1556. After that, Akbar came. He was a very powerful ruler. He ruled from 1556 to 1605. And then Jahangir came. He ruled from 1605 to 1627. And then Shah Jahan came. He ruled from 1627 to 1658. And then Aurangzeb came. He ruled from 1658 to 1707. After this, there were many other rulers who ruled in India. Let us start with Babur. Babur was the founder of Mughal Empire. He was a descendant of Timur. At first, he was merely interested in conquering those parts of Punjab to which he could lay hereditary claim owing to his Timurian ancestry. The Mughals were descendants of the Mongols, and Mughal is the Persian word for Mongol. Children, you can see Mongolia in this map, and you can see Uzbekistan, which is brown in color, bordering in Kazakhstan. So children, Babur sent an envoy to Ibrahim Lodi asking Lodi to give up, but Ibrahim Lodi did not pay any heed to such demands. In the following years, Babur invaded northwest India and Punjab several times, so he succeeded to capture those areas. By 1524, he consolidated his position in Afghanistan and he was ready to invade India. It was at such a time that he was invited by Daulat Khan of Punjab. So, in the Battle of Panipat in 1526, Babur marched from Kabul for the conquest of India. He crossed Indus and conquered Punjab. Meanwhile, Ibrahim Lodi, overconfident about his larger army, did not do much to resist Babur's progress. He moved leisurely to counter Babur while Babur sent out spies in every direction to keep a track of Lodi's movement. So this paved the way for the establishment of the mighty Mughal Empire in India. So in the Battle of Khanwa in 1527, Rana Sanga was the mighty ruler of Mewar. He dreamt of restoring the great empire of Prithviraj Chauhan. As soon as he realized that Babur intended to stay in India and he established a new empire, he wanted to establish a new empire, Sanga made efforts to gather a coalition force. In spite of the brave resistance of the Rana, they were defeated in the Battle of Kanwa in 1527. So Rana Sanga escaped to Chittor and the Grand Alliance collapsed. So this is all about the Babur. In the next class, we will study about Humayun. The dynasty started with the coming of first ruler who crossed Afghanistan and reached the Punjab plains in 1526. Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the Battle of Panipat. Babur ruled from the year of 1526 to 1530. After the death of Babur, he was succeeded by his son Humayun in 1530. Humayun inherited a large empire. Initially, he struggled to maintain his kingdom and he fought Bahadur Shah of Gujarat. Bahadur Shah was the ruler of Gujarat who had control over the Malwa region and wanted to extend his dominance over Rajasthan as well. Humayun, following the Turco-Mughal practice, divided the empire among his brothers. Humayun then turned his attention to Afghan rebels. He received the alarming news that the Bahadur Shah of Gujarat had conquered Malwa. Bahadur Shah was also moving towards the Mughal frontiers. So this forced Humayun to enter into a treaty with the Afghan, that is Sher Khan Suri. This treaty allowed Sher Khan Suri to gain complete control over Banaras. So children, Sher Shah Suri defeated Humayun in the Battle of Chausa in 1539 and later in 1540 in the Battle of Kannauj. After the Battle of Kannauj, he extended his control over the northwestern provinces of the empire. Sher Shah reorganized the army partly on tribal lines and partly along the Alauddin Khalji's forces. Sher Shah was a capable military and civil administrator. He divided the whole empire into 47 provinces or sarkars, which were further divided into districts called paraganas. In each paragana, the Amin looked into the civil cases, while the criminal cases were dealt by a Qazi and Mir e Dil. The reforms he made in the field of agriculture and the revenue administration. Assessment of land was done carefully. Officials were asked to be strict at the time of assessment and lenient at the time of collection. Officials were responsible for the collection of land revenue. Sher Shah encouraged trade and commerce. Sher Shah was built many sarais which were safe rest houses where the merchant used to spend time during their journeys. Sher Shah died in 1545. This weakened the Afghan Empire, and Humayun saw in this a perfect opportunity to regain his lost kingdom. Humayun thus gathered a vast army and attempted the challenging task of retaking the throne in Delhi. In 1555, Humayun conquered Agra and Delhi and established himself as the Emperor of India. Before he could consolidate his position, he died after falling from the stairs of the library at Sher Mandal in Delhi in 1556, which is also called as Purana Killa. So children, this is all about Humayun. Children, Akbar was a very powerful ruler in the Mughal dynasty. He ruled from the year of 1556 to 1605. Humayun appointed Akbar as the governor of Punjab before his death. He also appointed his general Bairam Khan as his son's guardian. Akbar was fighting the Afghans under Sikandar Sur in Gurdaspur when he received the news of his father's death. Children, do you know? Akbar was the only emperor in the Mughal dynasty who never learned how to read and write. He was illiterate. He occupied himself in shooting and hunting, but his memory was very sharp. Children, he was very interested in painting also. On becoming the emperor, he immediately lost Delhi and Agra to Hemu. Hemu was the chief minister of Sultan Adil Shah, the nephew of Sher Shah. He wanted to re-establish the Afghan supremacy. In 1556, the Akbar defeated and killed Hemu in the Second Battle of Panipat. So after that, Mughals recaptured Delhi and Agra. With the death of Hemu, the Afghan threat to the Mughal Empire was over. Akbar, with the help of Behram Khan, was able to re-establish his rule from Kabul to Jaunpur and from the hills of Punjab to Ajmer. The Mughal Empire under Akbar expanded across the upper Ganga valley. After having consolidated his position, Akbar sent military expeditions to Gwalior, Ajmer, Jaunpur, and Malwa. He then conquered Gujarat in the west and Bengal and Orissa in the east. In the northwest, Kashmir, Kanadar, and Kabul were added to the empire. In the Deccan, Berar and parts of Ahmednagar were brought under the Mughal Empire. Akbar pursued a policy of alliance with the Rajputs. He allowed the Rajput rulers of Rajasthan to hold their territories. Akbar adopted a number of liberal measures, like forbidding soldiers to enslave women and children of villagers and re-emitting pilgrim taxes. Rajputs were given complete freedom to follow their religion, build temples, celebrate their festivals, and to wear their caste marks. Abul Fazl presenting the Akbarnama to Akbar. Akbar holding a discussion at Ibadat Khana. Akbar holding a discussion at the Ibadat Khana. Akbar believed in the principle of Sulekul, that is, universal peace. He realized that there were elements of goodness in each religion and essentially each religion aimed at love and harmony. Based on his understanding of various religions, he formulated his own religion called Deen-e-Ilahi or the divine faith. The main features of this religion were belief in one God. Deen-e-Ilahi was not a religion in a strict sense. It had no rituals to be performed, no sacred books, no priest, no temples or mosques, etc. It was only a code of moral conduct. It aimed at achieving peace and tolerance and harmony also. But very few people accepted it, and Akbar did not impose it on anyone. Raja Birbal accepted it, but Raja Man Singh completely disapproved of it. Diwan-e Khas, the emperor held his meetings with his senior officers in the Diwan-e Khas. Land was the main source of revenue and under the Mughals. Akbar modeled his land revenue system on Sher Shah system. In this, he was assisted by his able minister Raja Todarmal. The revenue system introduced by Todarmal came to be known as Bandobast. Land was surveyed and measured with bamboo sticks called jarit joined together with iron rings at the ends. The revenue was fixed after assessing the average produce and prices of the last 10 years. Loans were extended to the farmers in case the crops failed due to drought or floods. The government re-emitted the revenue. The system worked well and the state had an assured supply of revenue. So, children, about the architecture, Buland Darwaza was established by Akbar in Fatehpur Sikri. It is situated in Agra. This is the some famous monuments inside the Fateh Akbar Storm in Agra. This is the Akbar Storm in Agra. Now about Jahangir. He ruled from 1605 to 1627. So Akbar was succeeded by his son Salim. He assumed the title of Jahangir, and it means Jahangir means conqueror of the world. Throughout his region, he followed Akbar's policy of religious tolerance and peaceful coexistence. He, like his father, used both military force and diplomacy. Jahangir maintained relations with the Rajputs. He married Rajput princes and awarded high positions to the Rajput chiefs. Jahangir successfully crushed the revolt by his son Prince Khusrau in alliance with the Rajamansi. His relations became strained with the Sikhs too. Arjan Dev was asked to pay a fine. When he refused to pay, he was executed. This started a long and bitter struggle between the Sikhs and the Mughals. In the Deccan, Jahangir captured the fort of Ahmednagar, though he faced tough resistance from Malik Ambar, the military commander of Ahmednagar. In the northwest, Jahangir lost Kanadar to Persians. This was a significant loss since all the trade routes linking India with the West Asia passed through Kanadar. It was during Jahangir's reign that many European companies like Dutch, Portuguese, and English started coming to India to establish direct trade relations with the country. So, children, this is all about Akbar and Jahangir. Shah Jahan, who ruled from 1628 to 1658. Children, do you know about the full name of Shah Jahan? The full name of the Shah Jahan was Shahabuddin Muhammad Shah Jahan, and he was also known as Prince Khurram. He succeeded the throne after revolting against his father, Jahangir. The period of Shah Jahan's rule in India is regarded as the golden age of Indian architecture. Children, why it was golden age? Because he is credited with constructing numerous beautiful monuments throughout the landscape of India. Children, this is Jama Masjid situated in Delhi. He built a new city called Shahjahanabad and made it his capital. He also built Diwani Khas, New Delhi. He participated in all military campaigns during his father's time and also planned all of them during his reign. He extended the boundaries of the empire further. On becoming the emperor, he faced a revolt in Deccan and set out to crush. Shah Jahan is remembered the most for Taj Mahal. It is considered as one of the seven wonders of the world. Shah Jahan built this beautiful monument in the memory of his beloved wife, that is Mumtaz. Taj Mahal contains the tombs of both Mumtaz Mahal and Shah Jahan. All the four sons of Shah Jahan, Dara Shikoh, Murad, Shah Suja, and Aurangzeb, they wanted to ascend the throne. They were always fighting, and Shah Jahan was overthrown by a rebellion led by his son Aurangzeb. He declared that Shah Jahan was incompetent to rule and had his father imprisoned at the Agra fort where he lived till his death in 1666. Children, this is Agra fort where Aurangzeb had his father imprisoned at till his death in 1666. Now we are going to study about Aurangzeb, who ruled from 1658 to 1707. He was the sixth ruler of Mughal Empire. He assumed the title of Alamgir, the conqueror of the world, Badshah, holy warrior. His experience as a governor of Deccan helped him in strengthening his position as an emperor. He retained the throne for almost 50 years. Aurangzeb's policies had antagonized the Rajputs and made them hostile towards the Mughal Empire. Aurangzeb's reign was marked by numerous revolts of the Jats, Satnamis, and Bundelas. They were all crushed by Aurangzeb. His Deccan policy was turning out to be very expensive, so he raised the land revenue from one third to half of the total production. Aurangzeb spent around 26 years of his reign trying to bring the Deccan under his control. This was the time that the Marathas' power was ascending in the Deccan, so they came in direct conflict with the Mughals. Aurangzeb was a very simple, staunch Muslim who lived his life as prescribed in the Quran. During his reign, there was not much development in the field of art and culture. Aurangzeb was Aurangzeb limited his readings to works of theology and poetry of devotional. He found both music and representational arts to be distasteful. He banned the playing of music in the court. So the children Akbar can be regarded as the real founder of the Mughal system of government. Akbar had inherited the structure of the Delhi Sultanate government since neither Babur nor Humayun had the time to restructure it. Akbar reorganized the government according to the needs of the time. So Akbar contributed significantly to the development of provincial administration. So this was the Mughal administration. Now decline of the Mughal Empire. Why it was declined? Because it began to decline after the death of Aurangzeb in 1707. The extent of the empire made travel and communication difficult. The burden of administration grew with the growth of empire. Aurangzeb could not perceive the benefits of the policy that Akbar had nursed towards the Hindus in general and Rajputs in particular. Since there was no clear line of succession, wars were fought over it. Moreover, the rulers after Aurangzeb were weak and ineffective. The Deccan could never be completely subdued, and simultaneously, the Marathas were becoming an alternate center of power. So, children, this is all about the Mughal dynasty.